Greetings, and welcome to the Saved by Nostalgia podcast.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
I feel the need for speed.
Sweep the leg. You have a problem with that?
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Look what you did, you little jerk.
Murdoch. I'm coming to get you.
Get busy living. Or get busy dying.
You are next.
And the thing is, after all these years, I still look back with wonder.
I tell you, it's. It's funny because you've done so much. You're still a very much working actress, and who would have thought that 27 years after you did a couple episodes of Saved by the Bell, there'd be a couple guys calling you trying to talk about those. Isn't that's kind of funny, isn't it?
It is funny, and you know what? Saved by the Bell, I think over the years, that show and The Color Purple are probably the two things that I've been asked about and recognized for the most.
Yeah, a lot of the actors that we talk to that have kind of been in a few things here and there always say the same thing, and it's just one of those things. It's a pop culture phenomenon, and there's no doubt about it. That's what we do here on this podcast. We go back and revisit it all. And you were in 2 episodes. You played Lark Voorhies' mother, Judy Turtle. Judy Turtle, and just kind of take us back to that and kind of how you got involved and kind of how the producers, of course, we've had Peter Engel on this show before, talked about how you kind of got involved with Saved by the Bell.
Well, for me, it was initially it was just another audition. The actors. I was living the actor's life in California, and just going to everything that my agent would send me up for, and that audition just happened to come at a time in my life when I was doing well. I think I was, in fact, I had just had a whole new set of pictures taken, so I was, the headshots that actors always use. So that's kind of energizing when you do that. So that after I had all these new pictures, and then I went out on some auditions, and that was one that I landed, and I hit it off with Peter Engel right away. I think the whole tone of the show was largely set by him. He's a really gracious guy, I think, and the whole tone of the show was, I think, largely set by him, and found myself there on the set, and actually the day that I went to work for the first day that I went to work for Saved by the Bell, I just found out that I was pregnant with my daughter.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, and I was playing a doctor, and it just really energized me, and I was so excited that I was going to have my own kid, and then I went and met all these amazing teenagers that were just awesome professionals, every one of them. They were just all we sat around the table and did a table read, and I was so impressed by every single one of them that, I just felt like I had just hit the lottery or something. It was really a wonderful experience.
Well, you mentioned it there a little bit, working with Peter Engel, sitting down for a table read with the cast. Can you talk about a little bit more in depth working with them, especially Lark Voorhies, who obviously you had a lot of scenes with, her being your daughter in the show?
Right. Well, Lark was a sweetheart. The thing I guess that struck me the most was their professionalism. I mean, of course, they had been doing the show for several years before I got there, and I was just, I don't know, I was really flabbergasted to see all these young people have such a good time, but be so spot on and professional with their work ethic and everything. It was really inspirational to me. It was really inspirational. And the second time I did the show, I had my daughter. So when I came back, I brought her with me to the taping. And, or rather I can't remember if it was to a taping or to a rehearsal. It's been, like you said, 27 years. But But I remember bringing her back, and everybody was like, "Oh, look! Oh, she's so cute!" And everybody was. It was just like she was a part of the family. It was great.
Well, it's kind of interesting because on the show you play a doctor, and that is portrayed in the very first episode you did, which is called The Surgery, where Zach goes in and has surgery on his knee, and you're kind of there to make sure he's feels okay about it. And it's funny because we never see Lisa's dad, obviously, on screen with you. He's in a different episode way earlier in the show, but he's also a doctor. So it's just kind of funny that Lisa's both of her parents are doctors. I guess that's an interesting family dynamic there.
Oh yeah. Lisa Turtle was definitely she had big shoes to fill.
Well, can you talk about
big shoes to fill.
Another episode that you were in, drinking and driving? That was kind of a more serious topic for Saved by the Bell. I thought they handled it nicely, and obviously Lisa's up for homecoming queen, and you won't, after you find out about it and the wreck and everything, that they're trying to cover it up, you won't let her go to homecoming, and you take her home, and you're going to read her the riot act. So can you talk about being in that episode and kind of the more serious topic and what that meant to you?
Well, like I said, at that time, for the second episode, I had just had my own daughter. She was an infant, and it surprised me how I was able to drop into that mom mentality very quickly, with my play daughter, my pretend daughter, and I think in rehearsal we had to, if I recall correctly, there was one or two times where it almost got too heavy because I was really feeling the mom thing, And it's like, wait a minute, remember this is a light kids show, So I had to temper my performance a little bit because I was so really serious about it. I understood. I got it. I got the whole mom vibe and looking after the whole mama bear thing, And I almost had to back myself up a little bit just to remember that this is only pretend.
Well, how effective do you think this show is in people's minds? Because you're in 2 episodes, yet my whole childhood, my whole kind of upbringing, watching the show, I always think about you being in way more and just remember your moments and think. And this is the case for a lot of people that guest starred on the show. That's a really effective use of characters and guest stars to be able to, years later, for people to remember people like yourself and a lot of the other people that were only in a couple of episodes, like, Zach's mom is in 2 episodes, but yet in our minds, we think of you as there like the whole time. That's kind of, that's very effective, isn't it?
It is. It's very cool because I imagine once you establish, you have a whole group of kids, and once you establish their home and their parents, then in the audience's mind, every time Lisa Turtle goes home, she comes home to me.
Right.
Even if I'm not in the episode, I'm there in their minds. They've established it, and I think Lisa and her mom, they had a rapport that really came very easily with me and Lark. We worked on little things and little looks, and we had a conversation. She said, let's talk for a minute. She said, I want to get some of your, get the way that you talk and some of your facial expressions, and I want to see if I can pick up on some of those so that we seem more like mother and daughter. And that was a good time that we spent together, and I think that it really kind of locked that into the audience's mind. They saw those kind of similarities, and it just made it seem more real, so that, so there I was, even when I wasn't there.
Well, you talked about there kind of the rapport that you two built and had quickly, but have you kept in touch with either Lark or the rest of the cast, or have you been able to run into any of them throughout the years?
I have not. I have not, actually. I kind of feel like the aunt that lives, on the other side of the world, but that follows all of her nieces and nephews, on TV. So I know with Mark Paul and Mario and Amber and all of them, when they've had their wonderful, a series or a great moment or a TV movie or whatever, I'd be the first one to sit down in front of the TV and watch it and go, I know them. Oh, they're doing great. They all grew up so great, and they all they all did some really cool things. So I'm proud of them all.
It's kind of interesting because, we've had Peter Engel on the show, and he talked about how originally Lisa Turtle her character was supposed to be a Jewish princess, and how they had Lark Voorhies came in and read, and they said, well, she's supposed to be kind of a Jewish character, and they said, well, she's not anymore. This is our Lisa Turtle, and it's kind of funny how that in television and in movies, and how a casting decision like that can have a long-reaching effect. Because obviously, had they made that decision, you would not have probably come in as her mother, as a Jewish mother, to Lark Voorhies, and so it's funny.
That's for sure.
Right. Well, that's just, assumption I'm making here, but that's just kind of interesting how that works, and how one casting decision can affect kind of everything.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And especially when you're casting families, I think that nowadays casting directors are a lot more conscientious when they cast families and people that are supposed to be related to each other and everything. I've seen some wonderful, and I can't think of an example right now, unfortunately, but I've seen some great, a lot of time I notice this kind of thing when I'm watching a TV show, and I go, they really look like they could be father and son, or they look like they could be brother and sister, and they really seem to have a familial quality about them, so I think that casting directors are really doing I don't know, maybe more enlightened casting, or I don't know what it is, but I think that nowadays they're doing a better job of it than maybe they did 20 years ago.
Well, Susan, you've done so much in your career. Can you kind of talk about some of your other kind of favorite projects that you've done, and people that you've worked with from the likes of Oprah, Jerry Seinfeld, Sinbad, Ted Danson, Eddie Murphy? I could go on, but I'll stop there.
Oh, my gosh. Well, let's see. Interestingly, you mentioned Eddie Murphy. I just did a very small role in his movie in the and all of a sudden the name of the movie
Norbit.
Thank you, Norbit. I had a small role in it, but I had actually met Eddie Murphy many years before that. Before I did that show, when I was doing Dreamgirls, and the Dreamgirls company came to California, came to LA, and we had a big party one night because our choreographer had choreographed Michael Jackson's Beat It video. So we had like a viewing party, and it was at Debbie Allen's house, and I didn't know we were at Debbie Allen's house at the time, but Eddie Murphy was there, and I just remember we just interacted marginally. There were a lot of people there. We just interacted marginally, and I'm talking, this would have been 1983 or 84 when Beat It came out, the video came out. So this was a long time ago. And as we're sitting on the set as I'm sitting on the set with Eddie Murphy, we're waiting for them to do the lighting or something, and we're in the little shop that I do, and I mentioned to Eddie, I said, we've met before, and he said, where? And I told him, and he said, I remember that party. It was at Debbie Allen's house. Yeah, I remember that. And Michael Peters was there, and he was talking about it. He remembered it better than I did. And I was just like, wow, that's great. I'm glad you remember. Now I don't feel like an idiot, walking up to the biggest star in the film and, sounding like I'm trying to chat him up. But he made me feel very comfortable, and he had on all that prosthetic, face and flesh and everything. And I was so curious. I said, can I touch your face? And he was like, sure, sure, here, feel this too, yeah, it feels really good, doesn't it? We were just talking about what a great job they did with the prosthetic, but he was a nice guy. He was a nice guy. I'm glad that he didn't leave me hanging when I said we've met before. Sometimes people get a reputation and you think that they're gonna embarrass you or shine you on or something, but he was kind. And let me see. So that was one. I tell you, one of my favorite things is one of the more recent things compared to going way back was The People versus O.J. Simpson, which I did in 2015. It was a 10-episode miniseries that Ryan Murphy directed and produced for FX.
American Crime Story.
American Crime Story, yeah. And And I tell you, that was a job that, it was another one of those auditions that was really fun. It was one, sometimes you walk into the room and it's just a great time. And you know that you did your best and you felt comfortable and you kind of clicked with everybody. And then whether you get the job or not, it's up to God. It's like, it's out of my hands now. So that was one of those auditions. And then when they called me and told me that that I had the job, I thought it was going to be maybe 3 days, maybe 3 weeks. It turned out to be 3 months.
Wow.
And it was like 3 months of graduate acting school. I got to sit in this courtroom setting and watch Sarah Paulson, Sterling K. Brown, Rob Morrow, John Travolta, all of these, Nathan Lane, all of these incredible actors do their thing day after day after day. And the interesting thing was, the jury, I played the foreman of the jury, and the jury was there for a whole lot of the shooting that you never saw. But we were there because in real life, the jury would have been in the courtroom. So for the other actors, when they were doing all of their work, we were there. We were there for them. And so it meant a lot of days of work, but also the most wonderful opportunity to just watch these incredible actors do their thing. And it was just, oh my gosh, I'm telling you, it was like literally like a graduate course in acting. It was fantastic.
And it's kind of ironic too, because 30 years prior to that, you had played OJ's wife in The Naked Gun, so you have kind of a history with OJ.
That's right. You want to hear something funny?
Yes.
In The Naked Gun, in both of those shows, I wore a wig. I usually wear wigs when I work, because it just works that way for me. I use it, like right now, my hair is a bright blonde afro, so I'm not going to get too much work with it like that, right? So I wear wigs when I work. And the same wig that I wore as O.J. Simpson's wife in The Naked Gun, the very same wig, not a copy, not another one, the exact same wig that I wore in 1994 or whenever that was, 93, whenever it was before the thing. So when was that? When was The Naked Gun?
88.
88.
Yeah.
Okay, 1988. The very same wig that I wore in 1988. When it came time to audition for the O.J. Simpson thing, I was thinking, do I have a wig that looks like it's from that period? I don't even know if I have a wig that looks like, that kind of a hairstyle. Lo and behold, I pulled that wig out of the box, and then I looked down and I went, wait a minute, O.J. Simpson knows this wig. Isn't that? So I slapped it on, and lo and behold, I got the job. And my first day on the set, when they went to, the wig master called me and said, do you have any wigs that are kind of that period? And I said, you are going to be so happy with what I bring in. I said, you are going to love this story. And when I came in, I brought the wig, and I said, not only is this wig from the period, this wig knows O.J. Simpson. And everybody, so that became like, if people were going around, is it true, when I would be sitting in the courtroom or at lunch, is it true that that's the wig that O.J., that wore when you worked with O.J. Simpson? I said, yeah, it is. So the wig kind of had a life of its own.
Well, what was it like working with O.J.? Just kind of the working relationship and just kind of hanging out on set. What was that like?
Well, it was interesting. He was like the grand gentleman to me. The way he treated me, he was like very gallant and, like he was, I think he was just being like a celebrity, but enjoying his celebrity. He was just like, we went to lunch and he would, we went to lunch in his, what is it, a Testarossa, a Ferrari? Is that a Ferrari?
Yeah.
The red, the Ferrari Testarossa. He had one, and he said he and Tom Selleck both got the same car. And when we went to lunch one day, we went in his Ferrari, and we went with the top down, of course, because he's OJ, and he wanted to be able to wave to his people, his fans. So we drove through West Hollywood in the Ferrari, and people, you could tell heads were turning and people were looking, and who is that with him and everything. But he was very gallant, and I was of the impression that he really loved being a celebrity.
Yeah.
He really loved, that people loved him. And I felt when the murders happened, at the time, initially, I was sure that he didn't do it. I'm not so sure anymore, but I was sure at the time that he didn't do it because I thought he loves his celebrity too much. He wouldn't ruin that. It was like breathing to him, like oxygen, And I felt like he wouldn't ruin that.
Yeah.
He just wouldn't give that up. He wouldn't jeopardize that, is what I felt like.
So interesting.
But,
that's wow.
Yeah, but who knows? Now I feel differently about it.
Yeah, man's ego and pride, it can take down anybody.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Maybe we'll never know, but I'll tell you what we do know, Susan, is that we can't thank you enough. We enjoyed your work so much, and as we're going back, and Susan, there are a couple of guys out there reviewing all 86 episodes of Saved by the Bell, and you are such a big part of 2 of them, and we just are, you live on forever in this show, and a show that just will never go away, and that's a great thing. There's a legacy there, and that's just got to be a good feeling.
Well, thank you. It is a good feeling. And as I get older, just realizing that, I did a lot of work on Broadway and in theater, and, once the curtain goes down, you're done, that's done. But to know that with The Color Purple and with Saved by the Bell and, so many other projects, a little piece of me is going to be around for a long time. And I've gotten to work with some amazing, awesome people like Steven Spielberg and, just incredible people. So that I on projects that I know are going to be a part of film history, So I'm very blessed. I am so blessed and very fortunate to have done the work that I've done.
Well, I tell you, we can't thank you enough. It's such a pleasure for us, and best of luck going forward. I know you're still very much a working actress and keeping it going, and we love that. And best of luck if you ever need anyone to publicize anything you have coming up. You've got our email. Hit us up anytime. We cannot thank you enough, Susan.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
It was nice talking to you.
You as well. Thank you so much.
It was an honor. Thank you.
All right. My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.